Hey everybody, Craig Lewis here, Master Fires Policy Coalition, coming at you from SHOT Show 2023. And I have with me today a genuine hero, Mr. Stephen Willeford. And you might remember him because he's the individual who actually pursued and how shall we say, ended the reign of terror of an individual there in Sutherland Springs, Texas, who decided he was going to attack folks there in a church with a firearm. Thank you so much for coming on the program today.
Well, I appreciate you having me here today.
All right, so tell us just real quick, just kind of go back and talk to us a little bit about what was going on that day and kind of how things progressed and how you came to be there at that moment in time.
Well, I was going to start an on-call at the hospital where I work on Monday morning. So normally when you do an on-call, you're going to do anywhere from 20 to 30 extra hours a week. And it comes late at night,
Okay.
And so I was going to carry a pager. I decided to stay home from church that day, the church that I normally went to, and was going to rest up, get ready for Monday morning when things started getting crazy.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter ran into my bedroom where I was hanging out barefoot,
Mm-hmm.
and said, "Dad, doesn't that sound like gunfire?" Right away, I thought it was somebody tapping at my window. When these things happen, your mind tries to make something normal out of something that is very abnormal. And I opened the window and didn't see anything. And she said, "Come into the other part of the house where it was louder."
Okay.
I did, and I realized it was gunfire. I ran to my safe. I grabbed an AR-15 and a magazine and a handful of ammunition, sticking them in the magazine. Called my wife and said, "Where you at?" She said, "I'm at Rachel's house." My second daughter was building a house, and my wife is an amazing person. She was taping and floating the walls at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Where you at?" She said, "I'm at Rachel's house taping and floating walls." I said, "Stay where you're at." She said, "What's going on?" I said, "There's somebody shooting up the church."
Wow.
And she said, "Don't go over there," and I hung up on her. And my older daughter had run out the door and jumped in her car and ran up the block to find out what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And came in a panic and said, "Dad, there's a guy in tactical gear shooting up the church." And I said, "Did you call 911? She said, "I did. They're aware of it."
Okay.
So right away, what that told me is the police were coming, and they were coming hard.
Right.
To a mass shooting. But, Sutherland Springs is under 600 people total population.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that we're so far away from the Wilson County Sheriff's Department. We don't have our own law enforcement agency in Sutherland Springs. So I didn't know how long it would be before anyone could respond.
Mm-hmm.
So I ran out the door, and I made a decision in my head that first police cruiser I see, I'm going to toss the rifle. I'm going to hit the ground with my arms spread out and start yelling, "He's still in there, he's still in there."
Okay.
Because when seconds count, police are only minutes away.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm all about the thin blue line and supporting our law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just a sad fact. They can't be there all the time. You are your own first responder.
Exactly. We say that all the time.
And so I ran across the street, and halfway across the street, I yelled out.
Mm-hmm.
I truly believe that it was God calling out a demon in the church.
Oh, wow.
Because he had just shot Chris Workman in the back,
Mm-hmm.
paralyzing him from the waist down.
Mm-hmm.
And he shot Julie Workman, with Chris's mother, through the breast.
Okay.
And he walked over and he was pointing the pistol at Chris when Chris heard me yell out.
Mm-hmm.
And at that moment, he dropped his rifle in the church and came out shooting at me with a pistol.
Mm.
And I ran behind a pickup truck for cover.
Mm-hmm.
I hit him in the left chest. He had on Class 3 body armor.
Okay.
And a ballistic bulletproof helmet. I hit him in the left chest. I hit him in the abdomen.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them left contusions. He started running for his vehicle, which was sitting in the middle of the street with the driver's side door open and the engine running. He had planned his getaway.
Right.
When he turned to his side, I was able to put one between the plates in his side and high in his legs.
Mm-hmm.
He got into the vehicle and slammed the door, and he put 2 more shots at me, and I saw the glass opening up in slow motion and the glass falling. And I put one where I perceived his head to be. I couldn't see it from the reflection from the sun, but it split right underneath the brim of the helmet.
Oh, wow.
He accelerated. He wanted out, turned the corner, ran as fast as he could away in his vehicle. I stepped out in the middle of the street. By the time I get to the middle of the street, he was 150 yards away.
Wow.
I put one through the back windshield, and the police say it went through the back seat, or the back of the driver's seat, and hit him just right at the left shoulder blade.
Wow.
He topped the hill and out of sight. I noticed a truck parked at a stop sign.
Right.
And I flagged that guy down, and I said, that guy just shot up the Baptist church, and we have to stop him. And, every sane person in this world would have just hit the gas and left me standing there at the stop sign. But this is Texas we're talking about.
Yeah.
We're not known for our sanity.
Right.
So the next thing I hear is the locks pop open. I climbed up in the cab of the truck with Johnny Langendorf. And we pursued him, police say, for 11.6 miles.
Wow.
And in the end, he chose to take his own life, and I'm okay with it.
So from the time you heard the first gunshot to the time when basically he gets in his car, gets ready to drive off, about how long was that?
I don't know, but I do know that he dropped 15 30-round magazines in and around the church.
Wow.
He started shooting from the outside of the church, shooting in through the windows and the walls of a 100-year-old church. And then he moved in and started going from pew to pew. It was way too long.
Wow.
But police were 5 to 7 minutes. They estimate 5 to 7 minutes behind me. It took police 19 minutes from the first 911 call to arrive on the scene.
Right. And that's no slack on them. I mean, you got to be where you got to be, right?
Again,
we're
way out in a rural area,
right?
And police can't be everywhere.
No, they can't.
And
right.
Again, I can't stress enough that law enforcement is running to the aid of someone to put their life on the line for them, and they don't even know who your name is. They could, and so they're brave men and women that would put their life on the line for you, but they can't be everywhere. And they call police first responders, and I mean no disrespect when I say no, they're second responders. You're your own first responder, and most of the time the police get there in time to mop up blood, take evidence, and hopefully arrest someone.
Well, and it's important. It's like, look, you don't not learn CPR because there are doctors that'll take care of the CPR, or you don't not have a fire extinguisher because you're not a fireman. The fireman will show up. No, the problem is that you have to have the tools and the training you need to be your own first responder, whether it's medically or whether it's in self-defense, whether it's to put out a fire or something along those lines. And you saved a lot of people by being prepared. And everything that you just went through, everything that you just talked about is not something. I'm going to guess that you didn't just buy an AR-15 and put it on the shelf or put it in your safe, but that you actually took time to learn how to use it and how to be effective with it.
Actually, I built my own AR-15, and I chose what I put it together with. I used a Spikes lower receiver. I used a Wilson chrome moly barrel because I wanted it to be light. I used a Neotech so it would be quick into action. I used a Rock River 2-stage varminter trigger because I wanted it to be a nice, easy trigger and stuff. And I used to compete with that rifle. So I used to shoot bowling pins and metal swing targets and things. and you shoot and move,
Right.
you know. And so I built that rifle with competition. And I tell people all the time, you know, the shooting sport
Right.
is the best stress relief.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
It's golfing, but for men.
Right. There you go. There you go. Oh, by the way, just to be real quick, guys, there was one thing, and he kind of said it in passing, but I wanted you to get a hold of this. You were barefoot this whole time.
You know, people ask me, said, "Really, you didn't take time to put your shoes on?" And my response is, "You're lucky I had pants on."
Yeah.
They call me the barefoot defender, the pantsless defender.
Well, I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for being a model and example for Americans, period. Putting your life at risk to go to the aid of others. And not only that, but also being in a position where you were prepared to do it and were effective. So thank you so much.
I would tell people that get that mindset.
Yeah.
And understand there's no one coming to your rescue. So that being said, it's time to start carrying. And if you're going to carry, you should be good with your gun.
Yes.
For one, the worst thing that could have happened is to miss and hit an innocent yourself.
Yes.
So it's time to be prepared. And again, I understand police officers miss too.
Yes. Yes.
You know,
there you go. Much more often than I think most of us would be comfortable with. Put it that way.
But the people that go to the range with their own guns, maintain and clean and watch out, and we do this practice all the time.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we develop skills, and a lot of times, and again, this is no disrespect for police officers. They go out and they qualify once a year, and they stand at a range. They don't shoot and move, you know. They don't do the things, and then when it happens, you know, they might not be as good as someone that goes to the range all the time and practices. And
when you go and you talk with politicians, they think that just because someone's a law enforcement officer, they're a firearm automatically makes them a firearms expert.
When we used to have a pistol team, we used to actually go out and actively look for law enforcement agencies that allowed civilians to compete against them for fundraisers and stuff, because as a shooting team, we normally shot against other competitors. And when we competed against law enforcement, it was like taking candy from a baby, because the world doesn't understand. We were competitors.
Right.
They are not.
Right.
So in a competition, we were better. Mm-hmm. And again, no disrespect for law enforcement, because for the most part, law enforcement are putting their life on the line for someone they don't even know, and they're brave men and women that have chosen that for their livelihood to protect, serve and protect.
We very much appreciate them, and we very much appreciate you, and thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you.
All right, folks, we will be back with more interviews from SHOT Show 2023.
If you like our videos, follow, subscribe, like, and share.